Is that a I don't know, maiden name? Is that your married name, maiden name?
Married name. My maiden name is Springer, German as well.
It's what?
Springer.
Tell me
Like,
your react. We're live now. I don't know if you can. Tell me your reaction when your husband's like Ikenberry. Is that where you're like, oh, okay, cool?
yeah. I get away from Jerry. Nothing against him, but when you call the phone and they ask you, "Are you related?" Yeah. I'm still living in Podunk, Kansas. That's right. Yes.
That's terrible, man. That is so terrible.
Oh,
Well, thank you. Roundup, y'all come on, get logged on. Give us a few seconds so people can log in, and we're gonna get rocking and rolling here. Edit video. How's the weather out there in Colorado?
oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful. About 70 degrees. So we're standing in the sun this high up, altitude wise, it's actually hot.
Oh yeah,
But a nice little breeze. It's a beautiful day.
it's gorgeous here too. It's like 70 degrees.
Oh, nice.
Gorgeous. Class, come on in. Log on into today's training. It is an honor to be able to hang out with you guys again amongst a million things that everybody is no doubt doing, and Kelly too. So you got kids, Colorado. So are you from there? Where are you from?
I'm from Kansas.
Kansas?
Kansas, and then Arizona, and then back to Kansas, and then Indiana, now Colorado.
Nice, nice. I can't wait to get out there and get back on that train. What is that train that goes up to the top of the mountain that I rode years ago?
Oh, the top of the Pikes Peak. Pikes
Pikes
Peak.
Peak. Yeah. What's up with the train? Is it it was broken when I came out there, I don't know, recently.
I think they finally got it fixed, and then COVID hit, so I don't even know if it's running.
Oh
All if
man.
anybody from Colorado is logged on right now, you'll probably be able to correct me. But I think that's what happened. I think they got it fixed, and then COVID hit and
Oh man.
shut it
That's
down.
something.
Or maybe they fixed it in the midst of all of this. I don't know.
Well, round up greetings, class. This is Chris Haskins. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. In doing that, I get to introduce you to some winners, business coaches, investors, entrepreneurs throughout the country. And today, I've been working on this, good Lord, for 5 months. Finally get to bring it to you, roundups. Kelly Ikenberry, how you doing today?
Fantastic.
I gotta
How
make
you
sure I
doing?
get that Ikenberry. I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be here with you, Roundup. So today we're going to talk to you about some disc analysis training. I got to tell you, after I learned about this thing, I was able to understand that not everybody thinks like me. Not everybody has the same personality as me. And today, Kelly's going to give us a training and possibly give you your own test if that's something you want to do. And I'm super excited to be with you today, Kelly. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Yes. So I got my things here. We'll show them a little bit of mine. Mine is always the same. Super high 99i. So we'll get to break some of these letters down and acronyms and all that stuff, and you can kind of share with my viewers exactly why they need to do this and all that good stuff. But tell us a little bit about your background. How did we get here to be a business coach?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, my eye is a 98. So you're
Oh
in good
man.
company.
Okay.
You're in
That's
good
cool.
company. Yeah. So how did I become a business coach? Wow.
Yeah.
The shortened version of that is people have forever been my business. So I was uh, communications major with a psychology minor in college, and then held fundraising positions, sales positions, financial advisor before I became a business coach. And we had a major life change happen. It was about 13 years ago. I was a financial advisor. And if I knew then what I know now, it probably would have been a very different experience. But I was operating fully in my eye
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how to use it as a tool, it can be your biggest detriment. That's one
Gotcha.
of the things that we'll get into a bit later.
Cool.
But during that entire thing, the stress, the competitiveness that I naturally have, the drive, was pretty stressful. And so when my husband and I first thought, hey, time to start a family, uh, that first pregnancy didn't end up so well. We had a
Yeah.
miscarriage, and it was a huge wake up call. So fast forward about 2 years, and we got pregnant. Our daughter, our oldest now, is about to turn 13.
Nice.
So life is great. It worked out, but I became a full-time mom and knew I wanted to have my own business. Knew financial advising was kind of like what I wanted to do. So I wound up, but not the 100% thing. So I called a lot of my clients who were business owners
Mm-hmm.
who had trusted me with their investments and asked them, why did you hire me? And in one way or another, they said, it's because you brought a totally different perspective to the business. Once we got past the investments, we talked about our people, we talked about our structure, we talked about other opportunities that the company had.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm thinking, oh, that sounds fantastic. How do I do more of it? And can I get paid? And that's when I
Mm.
came across coaching. And it was, that's the end of the story. I've been doing this now almost 12 years.
Nice.
Got my training to coach you, got certified through the International Coach Federation. When I decided to bring in DISC assessment and even the values assessment, I became a certified behavioral analyst, which sounds
Nice.
a lot fancier than it is. And so now I get to work with entrepreneurs and small business owners. And if they, depending upon what their team likes, sometimes just means it's some vendors, their customers, their business partners, not necessarily their employees. And
Mm-hmm.
we apply DISC. It's not the only thing, it's not the end all be all, but it is like having insight that you never had before. And so
Yep.
become in so many ways.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So yeah, we got a bunch of entrepreneurs on here with us today, and I'm telling y'all, please pay attention to this thing, the way that this disc analysis. Kelly's done over 1,000 of these debriefings and tests dealing with people, so she knows what she's talking about. Kayla, let's get right into it and get rocking and rolling. Why is this important? Who cares about this old disc craziness?
Well, once upon a time, I did not.
Me
Once
neither.
upon a time, I felt like it had been done to me because I worked in the corporate world. And it felt like the person who had said, we need to do this as a department. So the department director was basically saying, all of you need to fix yourselves so that you make my job easier. So I was actually opposed to this whole assessment idea until about 6.5 years ago. And that's when I came across a person who was using it really to help people not just understand themselves, but interpret and apply the actual results. And that is, if I can get on a soapbox about assessments, that would be the one thing that I get on a soapbox about, because there is a wealth of knowledge in these profile reports. And most of the time, people will take them and they will read about themselves and they will say, oh, yes, that sounds like me. Haha, I need to be a little more patient, or I need to be a little more outgoing, or they'll laugh about it, right? And it's always a good exercise to learn about yourself. But unless you want to actually apply the results, become aware of some things that you could do differently to improve your relationships, across the board relationships in life and business, then what's the point? You know yourself pretty well. Most people do. So it's going to give you a little bit of insight. Every single debrief that I've done, all of those thousands, have been a lot of what I'm going to share with you today. Because you have to understand not just, yes, this is me, or this is how an I typically shows up, or a D typically shows up, but rather how can we interpret and apply some of these results so that actual change can happen, so that things get better, so that people improve, business improves, profit improves across the board.
Yeah. I know. I can only reflect on myself. I'm like, thank God I knew about this thing. I didn't think I'm like, why don't you want to do this? Or why don't you feel like that? Or why can't you explain this? Now I'm like, everybody has different personalities. So I can just like, you know what? That's cool. I know you're there. That's your lane. It's helped me so much. So go ahead.
Yes, and I'm right with you. I'm with you. Since I took it, I was my first guinea pig, and I looked at it and I went to my coach like, oh, if I keep doing that, I'm never going to get to where I want to go. Oh my gosh. It was like the light bulbs clicked on immediately, and I started applying it, and there were changes that were happening, and I gotta tell you, it was a little tough. It's not like an overnight fix, but it is so eye-opening now. And I hate to say it, but I do. I sit in a room of people. I watch what they drive. I was actually doing a disc debrief the other day, and I guessed correctly what the woman drives, and I'd never
get out of here.
So if you now, I'm not saying everyone needs to take it to the length that I have, but
I ain't do that.
You can even have a bit of information that allows you to be able to do that. Think about the relationships with not just your families, but your relationships with your vendors, your customers, your clients, any relationship at all. If you can start to shed light personally on how they're wired and communicate to them in that way, because not, like you said, not everyone is wired the way that I am or you, but if you can make them feel like you get them and you actually do, man, the sky is the limit.
Let's do it. So Kelly's going to do her presentation. Then we're going to give you an opportunity. Kelly has been so gracious to give us an opportunity to share. You can take your own test. So Kelly, go ahead and hit it.
All right. So there's going to be three main things that I want to make sure you all walk away with today. And that is having a pretty good understanding of what you believe your style would be. So we're going to start off with some description of what the styles are. And then along with that, you're going to highlight some of the preferences, the jobs that you like doing, the personality, the communication style that you appreciate most. And then you're also going to possibly identify how you might be shooting yourself in the foot because of how you're wired. And you may or may not already be aware of that. But usually once you have that awareness, then you can actually start to put some tools into place and stop doing that behavior so that you stop shooting yourself in the foot.
Nice.
So those are the real key pieces in this short amount of time that I would love to have everybody walk away with at least one nugget. Just aim for one, because this could be a fire hose. I don't know who has taken the DISC assessment, who has even heard of it. So we're going to start out fairly basic. And then I'm going to share some tools, some things to really look at in regards to how to apply some of this information that you're getting.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So the main reason that I love the DISC assessment is because it's behavioral based. So a lot of people will say it's your personality. And there are a lot of personality traits that show up in the DISC, but it's really about your behavior. And so it's, for example, it's beautiful here in Colorado today. Come Sunday, it's not going to be so much. So today, there's probably people walking around in shorts and t-shirts, but the weather's going to change on Sunday, get a little cooler. They're probably going to be putting on long sleeves and jeans. The behavior is kind of like that. When you step into a different role, so I'm business coach, I'm mom, I'm wife. I play a little bit of a different role depending upon who I'm with and where we are and what's called from me. So when we go through these styles, what I want everyone to recognize is that you are a combination of all four. Just because Kris and I have referred to ourselves as very high I's, our D or our S or our C could be right second to where that I is. It may or may not. But the thing is that if you eliminate all the other styles and just walk around labeling yourself as, I'm just a high I, you're missing the boat. It would be like trying to bake a cake with 3 out of the 7 ingredients. It's not going to wind up being a very good cake, right? So when we go into this, that's one thing I want everyone to recognize is that you're a combination of all 4 styles. It's unique to you. And so I'll walk you through an exercise that you can kind of keep track to see if you can identify your strongest style, your secondary, and then perhaps the third and fourth.
Nice.
So keep an eye on what's my strongest, and then what do I think my second would be.
All right.
All right. Because
Cool.
behaviors, if you identify something like I did when I first read my report, it's like, oh, I can't keep doing that. Well, it was a behavioral change. That's it. Now, it took some time, but it was behavioral based. So I could develop a new skill set to eliminate that activity and add in an activity that was actually productive. And now, only when I slip back into bad habits does that old characteristic come out, because this is behavioral. As you go through this, if there's something that you recognize that you do naturally and yet you're not capitalizing on it, mark it. You need to do more of it. Find ways, build confidence, whatever the case might be. Get training, get coaching. And then also, if there's a behavior you recognize, like I did, that's shooting me in the foot, you can actually start to, again, get training, build skills, develop other tools so that you're eliminating that.
Nice.
Yes, very nice. All right, so your time is very valuable. The
Yeah, we're
people
good.
who are out here, your roundup is very valuable. Their time is. And so I want to make sure that I'm delivering what they're looking for. So if you see any comments or any questions pop up, hang on to those. We're going to cover those at the end.
Yeah.
And, this is something where I've been using this for over 6 years now, done over 1,000 disc debriefs. So I want to share as much, but hopefully not too much information with everyone to help them understand a little bit more than what's usually put out by so-called DISC experts or people who have come to understand DISC a little bit. I want to take it just a little further than that. So we're going to go a little deeper than what most of the information is.
Well, when I found out about it, I didn't know nothing about it, Kelly. So whatever you told today, I mean, it's going to be good for me.
All right, so let's start with some of the basics, right? So who is this for? This is for anybody who's willing to look in the mirror and improve themselves by understanding themselves and then understanding others. It is not for the person who's sitting there thinking, I just need to fix my wife. I need to fix my husband.
My business partner.
Fix my kid. Now, has it come in handy in those relationships? Sure. But if you have an eye on how do I just manipulate the system, or how do I get more of what I want and get these people to accept me more, we need to shift that mindset.
All right.
More along the lines of what do I need to look in the mirror at first? And then how can I be the leader in the relationship to learn how to relate better, right? So that's a huge piece. Now, the great thing, especially for your audience, is that you're going to be able to apply these tips and these tricks to the negotiation table. You're going to be able to identify and observe, hopefully, not necessarily fully after today, but start to identify the type of person that you are communicating with and how do they prefer that communication to happen. Because then you have leverage when you go to the negotiation table. You have leverage when you're making a sale. You have leverage, right? So if we can leverage this information to get you to a better life, then let's do it.
My thing is not only this in sales, I'm just like, I got to deal with my investors, my private lenders, my bankers, my contractors, my business partners, the realtors, the loan officers. I'm just like, I'm so thinking before this. I'm so thinking that they all think like me. It's just so crazy. I didn't know that some of them needed to be talked to a different way. Certain things I'm like, let me back off, let me push. It just, to me, it opened up so many doors to not just, and so it helped me with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so I am going to ask you to start sharing my screen.
Let's do it.
Some of these pictures.
Boom. We see you, by the way. We can still see you. You can't see us.
Okay, so I'm going to put this bigger, hopefully. All right. Did that make it?
You're there. White screen.
White screen. All right. Can you see me? Am I still good?
You're good.
All right.
I'm going to bring you in and out. So I got you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So who is this for? We've kind of covered this already. Well, you want to make more money? This would be for you. You want to have a little bit more joy? We're going to show you how. We're going to get you smiling again so that you're not so frustrated like you were just saying, Kris, hands on head. My bankers, my investors, why don't they all think like me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you discover some of these secrets, you're going to know why, and then start smiling again.
Hmm.
Or do you just want to build relationships, relate to the people around you a little better, and be able to go through life thinking and knowing that people have your back instead of feeling like nobody ever understands you? So those are all some side benefits of what we're going to cover today.
Nice.
And hopefully by the end, you recognize that this information is like a crystal ball. It's like having a crystal ball. Once you start to understand how to not only understand yourself, but then understand how to apply this information, it truly will be like having a crystal ball when you look at the person that you are needing to communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is a work in progress. This is not an overnight fix. It's a genuine behavioral education. And
Mm-hmm.
once you open your eyes to it, then it never stops. You just continue to stay in that mode. So it'll be like having a crystal ball, and it is possible to have all those things, to have the world at your fingertips when you really do start to embrace this and apply it.
Yes.
All right. So first things first. If everybody who is on here has a piece of paper, it
I
doesn't have
do.
to be as large as mine. Now, what I want you to do is draw this plus sign on your piece of paper. I want you to write a D, I, S, and C on your piece of paper. And then as we go through this, you're going to start making some tally marks or some aha statements as we go through the different styles.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want you to keep in mind is that look at the C's and the D's, they're often more task oriented. These are the people who want to have, this is what I've got to get through today, and they go after it. They do it in a little different way, but that's their main goal. They just get done. Now, the S's and the I's, I don't know if you can see, but put people down at the bottom of that line between the S's and the I's. That's their focus. So they are focused on the relationship. They're focused on how am I taking care of my people? How are other people taking care of me?
People.
So they're very people focused. When we look at the D's and the I's, right, fast paced. That's their nature. They are fast paced. They walk fast. They talk fast. They prefer to make decisions quickly. That's what they share. Does that resonate with you, Kris?
Lord.
So then on the opposite side, the C's and the S's are typically slower paced. Now, it doesn't mean they are slow. I had someone in a workshop correct me and say, but I'm not slow. Of course, you're not slower, but you take a little more time to make decisions. You walk a little slower.
I love it.
Right? So we automatically, just styles, have task differences or priority, task versus people, and we have pace differences, fast versus slow. And imagine this, most of us marry our opposites.
I'm so glad I did. Go ahead. I'll be quiet. I gotta be quiet.
If you happen to be in a relationship, then you can put this stuff to practice starting immediately. Okay, so keep this handy as we go through the information. So here are the 4 styles and what they really are focused on, because each style has a focus, they have a need, they have an emotion that's tied to them, and they have fears that are tied to them. So in its most basic form, here are the 4 styles. D is for dominant. You sometimes hear it called director. You sometimes hear it called driver. It's how you choose to address, or not how you choose, but how you address problems and challenges. A person with a higher D, they go after that problem or challenge. People with lower Ds, they tend to shy away from it. They will support the decision most of the time, but they're not interested in addressing it. The I is for influence, also intuitive, how you handle situations involving people. Again, the higher the I, the more you are interested in problem solving people challenges. The lower the I, You would rather be sitting in front of your computer and never have to deal with a person ever. The
My
S is
wife.
steady. There you go. There you go. I work with a lot of auto technicians. They don't have usually a huge eye
No
because
way.
they deal with the car. There's a
Yep.
reason.
Hmm.
So the S is steady. How you demonstrate pace and consistency. Again, the higher the S, the more steady you want your environment. The lower the S, man, you are a change maker. The C is for conscientious. Again, problems and constraints. And it's really the higher the C, you're looking for processes, you're looking for systems. And oftentimes, because C's are very task oriented, they will create systems if they are not in place. A
Mm.
person with a lower C doesn't even know what system means. So there's your most basic description of each of the styles. There's not one that's better than the other. And again, remember, you're a combination of all four. So keep that in mind as we go through here. Let's look at the dominant style. Now, here's what I want you to do with that plus sign that you made, and you put the DISC on it. There's 7 bullet points on each of these. And what I want you to do is identify how many bullet points actually resonate with you. Now, here's the thing, what you've got to remember, like look at direct, maybe blunt. Now, if you are a full-blown dominant style, if that's your highest style, you think you're direct. Other people have to tell you that you're too direct. So keep this in mind. Think about the feedback that you receive from other people as you look at these bullet points, because if you are a very direct person, you don't even see it as being direct until someone else points it out to you, because
That's
it's your
weird, isn't it?
way of communicating.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. All right.
I just
So
go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm just thinking like people like I'm direct. I get right to the point. I'm like, well, not every. I'm gonna be frank. I'm transparent. My wife, I'm direct. I'm straight. I'm like, oh, not everything needs to be just bam. So it took me. Golly. All right, I'm gonna leave you alone. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, it's fantastic. Stop me anytime, and especially if there's a bullet point on here that doesn't seem to make sense, let me know.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, so let's move on to a couple of examples of celebrities that hopefully everyone will know, all of these folks.
Mm-hmm.
People who are primarily the dominant style. A man would be good old Arnold and Barbara Walters. So again, as you think through these different styles and how they show up, you can start to get, think about what you've watched Arnold do. Think about what you've watched Barbara do. The other celebrities that I have on the other slides. You can start to think back through, oh yeah, now it'll make sense. I can see how they were primarily that style.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just giving you a visual of people who display a lot of these characteristics. This is their dominant style. Okay, the influential style, they are the socializer. They, again, I'm transparent too. So me being a 98, all of you in the roundup know Kris. Would you say that he fits the influential style based on what you've observed from him? I got to meet him not that long ago, and I would say yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so again, if these bullet points resonate with you, how many of them resonate with you? And mark it on your page. Mark it on your page. Any questions on this one, Kris?
Yeah, I'm just like I used to think like, why the hell don't you get enthused? Why aren't you enthused about this? And where's your personality? I'm like, what is wrong with you? This is exciting stuff. And then they're like, dude, I'm thinking about, So it's just a mind shift, a paradigm shift for me. Thank you.
It is an absolute mind shift, and we're going to put it into play. So this is just the first basic for those of you. What did
This
I do?
helped me so much in my real estate business. I'm dealing with contractors and project managers. And I'm like, this floor tile is slamming, dude. And I'm like, man, we're just working. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean,
we got to get the work done. I don't know. Don't even look at it yet.
Yeah, they're not even look. I'm like, dude, this is so. This
Yeah.
test is not just for personal. If I use it for business, okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it can be used in so many ways. We've built websites with this profile.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
it's pretty cool. Okay, so what did I do? I hit something.
You good? It said I'm still on the influential
There
socializer.
we go. My screen switched. All right,
Uh-oh.
here we
Oh.
go. All right, here are a couple of celebrity types: Robin Williams, Dolly Parton. If you think about that list, I hope you would agree,
Mhm.
without question, that both of these had an I style as their predominant style. All right, steady style. These are the supporters. Again, look at this list of bullet points. See how many resonate with you and mark it on your sheet.
Hmm.
Now, these are the people, Kris, that are probably, you're wondering, why are you not getting excited? Because the higher the
Mhm.
S, again, they want it to be calm. They want it to be an even pace. So those of us who are getting easily excited, uh, we don't understand why they don't, but they are trying to keep it easily, it's pretty much steady, pretty much. And if you
Interesting.
don't understand that that's what's going on, or that that's the way the person is wired, then it usually creates frustration and irritation.
Mhm.
And by understanding this and developing an appreciation for it, then you can actually eliminate a lot of that irritation and just recognize that's who they are. Okay,
Mhm.
now we're going to learn how to deal with them.
Good.
Here are a couple of S uh, predominant styles. We've got Michael J. Fox and we've got Laura Bush.
Mm.
Again, think through what you've watched them in their careers. Hope it makes sense. And now the conscientious style. These are the thinkers.
Details, facts, root cause. Oh, this is my boy Smitty. Hmm.
And what you've got to do here with that, let's see, the fourth bullet doesn't easily express views. They have their views, but they just don't offer them up unless really given the opportunity and asked specifically. And so with the with the entrepreneurs and owners I work with, if you can imagine, the majority of them are a strong combination of the I and the D.
Mm-hmm.
They have one of those as one of their top two styles almost across the board.
Mm, okay.
What they usually do, again, Kris, to your point of why can't everybody just operate like I do? Why don't everybody just do it the way that I do? It's because if you are smart, you're going to surround yourself with some steady and some thinkers, right? So they can actually do what you're not so good at, that I'm not so good at. But these people will go out and they'll say, hey, give me your ideas on this. And if you're going to a person who is a high C, or has quite a bit of the C or the S, they're not going to just blurt it out because they're afraid of being wrong. They want to make sure they have their facts straight. So it's ideal, if you want to get feedback from them, to give them at least a day, if not two, and tell them specifically what you want feedback on so that they will come to the table with their ideas. Otherwise, what often happens is that the person who has a lot of I or D, when they just put it right out there and say, give me your ideas right now, they wind up thinking, I've got a bunch of incompetent people working around me. These people
Mm,
can't even figure this out. Why do I have them around me?
mm-hmm.
It's because you need to give them time to think. So that is just one example. You can apply this uh, to those around you. And I would imagine we're going to wind up with quite a few who resonate with the I and the D. And so this is really important for all of you to understand. Here are a couple of people. We got,
Mm,
of course, Zuckerberg with Facebook and Jodie Foster as celebrity C types.
mm, mm, mm. I know my project manager, I'm thinking, Kelly, he tells me about every 2x4, every piece of nail, sheetrock. I'm like, I listen. I'm like, my mind is like, man, let me know when the joint is done. I'm like, I hear you.
Get it done. I don't care
Perfect.
for the details. Spoken like a true eye.
He is so, I'm like, he's a master. It's like, what we need to do, boo, 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 boo. I'm like, oh my Lord God, let me get through this one. Because I'm like, man, what is it? What do we need to do to get it fixed?
Yes. Yes, you go into problem solving mode. That's the thing, is that when you identify, and you're going to love one of these screens that's coming up, when you identify what it is that they bring to the table,
I
and
love it.
you remove your own, can we just get this done now,
Yep.
and recognize what they bring to the table,
Oh man,
that's when
magic.
it all comes together.
It's magic.
It is magic. Okay, so I have a couple of kids, so we watch a lot of animated movies. So for those of you who are like me and you love Toy Story, here's a really good example of the Toy Story characters totally from their element. And if you look, I'm going to leave this up here for a minute so you
Look at
can
that.
go through everything. If you look at, for example, Buzz, and you look at the words he uses, and this is how you can start to switch from the I need to understand myself to I can start to observe other people. If you just start looking or listening for the words they use, the actions they take, are they talking fast? Are they walking slow? What words do they use? You can often start to identify they're probably an
Wow.
I, they're probably a C, right? Look at Buzz, for example. I need to commandeer your vessel. I am taking over, is what I'm saying. Who's in charge here? I can almost guarantee you an S would never, ever ask who's in charge here. Right? So you can start to pay attention to the word choices. They give themselves away once you start to identify. And the great thing about having your own disc report, I've seen a lot of them out there, and you can go online and get your free report. I'm going to show you some things that are in the one that, for those who want their own, I want you to see what you're going to get before you do it.
Yeah.
Because there are examples of these descriptive words, these adjectives that each of the styles use. And you can identify them for yourself. But then that's where, when you're working with your contractors, when you're working with your investors, when you remove your own self from it and just start to observe what words are they using, how are they moving, what are they wearing, what are they driving, then you can start to recognize, I bet they're a C. I need to address them in this way. I need to take a step back, be more patient, really listen, acknowledge them in this particular way so that our relationship builds on where it's at rather than breaking down.
Nice.
So I won't go through all of them unless you want me to, but then you start to see with, even with Woody, when you look at that very last line, he slaps knee and laughs. What more could an eye do? They want to bring that levity into the mix. They often use a sense of humor to break any tension, right?
Gotcha.
Same thing if we look at the S and the C. I don't think I can take that kind of rejection, says Rex. Again, from a D, they are sometimes afraid of rejection, but usually they're the ones making people feel rejected. Mrs. Potato Head, I'm packing an extra pair of shoes. She's worried. That's one of the main characteristics of a high C. They worry. They worry. So when you're dealing with contractors who you think fall into the C category, recognize that they are coming at it not with what's the possibility, but they are coming at it from the place of, oh my gosh, what's going to go wrong? and they are worried about it. So when you approach them and you're saying, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got this. I got this. That is not helping the situation.
Yeah.
Find out what it is. What are you worried about? Acknowledge them where they're at. Again, you'll build the relationship rather than break it down.
It's weird you say that because I constantly change order. I'm like, oh, I mean, it's just a little more of wood rot over here. Chris, we got so much wood rot. I'm like, we got to deal with it. I mean, we just got to deal with it. I mean, it is what it is. We're going to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
I can't change it.
You can't change it. But again, when you both can recognize, especially when you take the lead in this,
Yeah.
recognize what is concerning to them. And then one of the best questions that a D or an I can ask the rest of the world, even to fellow D's and I's sometimes, one of the best questions in your example is, all right, do you want me to fix this? Or do you just want me to listen? Are you
Nice.
just listening? And
Wow.
you can ask that question from the DI perspective, because the thing is what if you have a lot of D or a lot of I in you, you immediately go in problem solving mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's breaking that habit, because not everybody wants the problem to be fixed. I'm sure you've run across those people. They want to just keep putting it out there, but they don't actually want a solution, which is crazy for those of us who have D's and I's. But on the flip side, it's not that they don't want a solution. They just don't want the solution our way.
Mm.
And so it's a critical question to ask. What role do you want me to help you fix this, or do you just need to listen and hear? And most often they're going to say, I just need you to listen to me.
Gotcha.
That will build rapport. That will build and help you relate to the person.
Kelly, let me reintroduce you. We got 65 people on here, 67. This is a disc analysis that we're going over today. Hanging out with Kelly Ikenberry. She's out there in Colorado, and Roundup. I brought her on because I wanted you to understand that this disc thing allows you to know your personality and to be able to recognize others so you can interface with them better. Kelly, we're at 42 minutes now. I don't know how much time everybody has, but you want to tell them about, let's go ahead and real quick. We'll keep going with the training, but Roundup, Kelly's agreed to give us her personal disc analysis. You want to give them that real quick, Kelly? It's going to be in the video description. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can keep going with more information. This is giving you some basic and some tips. So as you know, I've done over 1,000 of these, give pretty in-depth debriefs, charge quite a bit for all of those services, but for you, Chris, and your group, and for this opportunity, we're actually able to offer it to anyone here, even if you want to share it with people you know, have them watch this and then take it themselves, $97. And you can go on. The great thing about it is that it's an online link.
Yep.
Fingers crossed technology works and we don't encounter too many glitches, but you can take it for $97. And I mentioned this a little earlier. You're going to get a printout if you choose to print it. It'll be delivered to your email. It's 33 pages long. The first part of it will give you all about yourself, right? So this is the first step. What is it that I need to know about myself? What are my motivations and needs? What are my strengths? All of that is going to be highlighted. The other thing, potential areas for improvement. All right, Chris, you have to tell me if you can see this well.
Not really, but we're getting an example here. I'll bring mine up because I still have mine here of the little analysis thing.
Fantastic. And in fact, let me fast forward. I've got a slide here that what I'm bringing up. Okay, so in your report, and most reports will go this far. They'll give you your adapted style and they'll give you your natural style.
Mm-hmm.
There's a description in your report, but real quickly, your adapted style is how you perceive yourself and how
we perceive ourselves.
That's how you perceive yourself.
Okay.
The natural style is how you are when you're in your own relaxed setting. And so you can see here what I look for as the interpreter, as the certified behavioral analyst. What I look for is, are there any discrepancies? More than 25 points. It's very clear on this gentleman's, who is a client of mine, his I and his C adjust, adapt
Good gracious.
A lot.
Yeah, let's do this.
Right? So
Oh.
this is a critical piece. This is one of the key reasons why having your very own report is extremely beneficial. We've gone through, you've chosen, I think that I'm a high D, high I, whatever the case might be. That's just the tip of the iceberg. When you have this in your hands, it truly is like gold. It's like having your own crystal ball for yourself. And then the cool thing, Kris and I are going to get back here on Monday. And for those of you who do take it, we're going to allow however much time we can to bring at least a few people on, and I will debrief your results right here so that you can get my insight, my interpretation into what these changes really mean, what these adaptations really mean, and how to best use them.
Nice, nice. So Roundup, I'm telling you, I paid $2,000 when I went to hang out with Eric Thomas, ET. I paid $2,000 for this thing. I got my results back. I was a high I. I'll show you guys. This is my thing. I'm a high I on both of them. This is the one I took with her, and another one I took with ET. I mean, I'm a high I on both of mine. I've taken it about six times, and Kelly agreed to give us this special for her for my Roundup family because once again, I love y'all. I want y'all to implement this stuff. And you're coming back Monday. So we're not done with training today, but I know some people might have to go. But Monday, once you download the disc analysis, y'all, take the test. You may be able to understand some of it, but Kelly's going to come back Monday, and I'm going to send you a link. Whoever gets it, I'm going to send you a link where you can come on live with us. And Kelly will kind of walk you through some of the biggest challenges. What did you tell me, Kelly? The biggest challenges, biggest obstacle?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes, it is, because each style, here's the thing. I'm going to back up. For those of you who are still listening, fantastic. I'm going to give you a kind of a sneak peek into this.
Let's do it. And that link is in the video description. Sorry about that, y'all. If you want to get rocking and rolling, yep.
No, it's absolutely great. So for those who can hang on, this is part of what comes into the second part of the report you're going to get from me. It starts to teach you about the styles and how to apply them to the people around you. It gives you some cheat sheets on how to communicate with people who are totally opposite of you. But if you let me see, where are we at? Go back. All right, so this slide and the next one, for example, some of the challenges or some of the things that you could do more of, right? So these are the values that each of the styles brings. Now, this is a very general overview. Your report is going to be much more specific to you. And then that second part of that report will give you so much more in regards to each of these styles and their values that they bring. This is a great place to start. So for example, on the X, right? The loyal piece, if you are a change maker, that could possibly be seen as a negative. When in fact, when you look at some of the people on the other side, right? If we keep this in mind, these two people, these styles are very change oriented. These are not. So these styles naturally will think loyal is a fantastic quality. When in fact, the D's and the I's typically think loyal is a great quality, but they have a different definition of it. Totally different definition of it. And so when you start to completely remove any assumption and you ask the question, what does loyal mean to you? You're going to find out, you're going to tap into what is their mindset? How do they think about it? And then you're going to start to have an understanding and appreciate where they come from, because now you understand where it is. And you're not assuming that their definition of loyal is the same as yours. When you remove that assumption, great things start to happen.
Work together easy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Here's another thing. When we look at what are some of the biggest challenges, these are the triggers that the different styles have. So I mentioned earlier, and I told you we were going to start with really basic. Now we're getting a little bit more into how can you, why is this report have so much gold in it? This is one of the reasons. It's in that report. And if you look at the different styles, each of them have a need, an emotion, and a fear. This is why it's important to understand more than just your primary style. because a lot of people will have two styles that are very similar. For example, mine is a high I, but then my D and my S are very close. If
Hmm.
I did not know that, then I would not have an understanding as to why I got triggered or get triggered the way that I get triggered.
Mhm.
Because when I get triggered either with excitement or a feeling of contentment, or if I get triggered with I'm ready to completely blow and rip somebody's head off.
Mhm.
Either way, if I come back to this one thing, what is it? What is the need, right? So, for example, when I have the feeling of contentment, the need of social relationships, quality relationships, usually is at its height. I'm around my people, I'm getting what I needed from those relationships. That gives you a feeling of, that's why this is feeling so good. On the flip side, if I were in a situation where I just felt like I was not a fit, I was around people who clearly did not speak my language. My need is friendly environment, social relationship. When I'm in that setting, depending upon how personal and I could take it, they would actually start to say, this is a toxic environment.
Mm.
They could take it to that extent. When
Wow.
in fact, if you look at this, you just simply can say, well, I don't need to take it to that level. I'm not getting what I need from this group. I need to make sure that I have this group over here where I can get that need filled.
Interesting.
So this is taking it to the next level.
Gotcha. That is the next level. Wow.
Right?
Hmm.
Because here's the thing, and I think you would agree, Kris. I've been doing personal development in some way, shape, or form. I think my entire life since I was probably 12 or 14,
Mhm.
and yet through all the personal development, we can try to identify things about ourselves, but sometimes we just don't even know what we don't know.
Don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
When I saw this in the report when it first came to me, and then when I really started to apply it to myself, oh my gosh, my understanding and my personal growth went through the roof.
Nice.
At that point, my entire clientele shifted. I I work with people long term most of the time, kind of on a
Mm.
retainer basis, and every single client prior to the disc assessment is no longer, well, I think one person is still part of my clientele. It has
Wow.
completely shifted. And it's not because I started to actively go after a new market. It's because I started to apply this. And
Wow.
I developed a clientele now that uh, I would go to bat for every day of the week.
Wow. That's cool. So Roundup, Kelly is giving us her personalized disc assessment. If you don't see the link in the video description, you can just go to krisdisc.com. She gave me that link to hook it up with that as well. And Kelly, so this thing takes about 15 minutes. What should they expect when they go on the other side to actually take the test for their own profile?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. When you click on the link, it's going to give you a screen. You type in your name and your email address. Now, here's what I would tell you to do. Make sure that you have the 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted time. Put your phone on silent, close the door so the kids don't barge in. Do it when you can spend the 20 minutes, because once you get out of the system, it can be a bit of a hassle to get back in. Plus, your brain has started to work. You want to make sure that you're doing this with a gut reaction.
Mhm.
Don't spend too long thinking about the word choices. What you're going to see on the screen are about 24 groupings of 4 words each. And you choose the one that you think applies to you most. And don't worry, don't get frustrated that some of the groupings are going to be hard to choose. Just go with your gut. And when you can go with your gut and you just click on the word and you do it without having to be interrupted or disturbed, you're going to get very accurate results. Once you hit the submit button, then I'll get an email to see that you completed it, but then also you should be receiving it in your inbox, and it'll happen immediately, and you'll get that 33-page report. that I showed an example of. And I would say, the advice that I give, the instruction, not the advice, but the instruction I give is pour over that first portion. Now it's a 30 page report, but your results are about 18 pages. Go through those, highlight things that really resonate with you. If there's anything you do see that you think I could be doing more of that, or I need to do less of this, mark those things. This is your own personal guide to growth. So use it as such.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move into part 2, because that's when you really start to apply it to other people. You learn how to observe the styles. If you want to, if you breeze through the first portion and you're marking it up and you're like, rock on, let's come back on Monday. Let's see if we can get this debriefed from me, who's been doing it for years. Great. And then you say, let me see. I want to try to identify what my spouse is, or even my kids. I've used this with my kids.
Okay.
So here's what you do. It's real simple. You ask yourself, do they seem to be more task oriented? If the answer is yes, they're most likely a primary D or C. If you ask, are they more people oriented, and the answer is yes, then they're primarily an I or an S. So then let's just use this, since I think you can see it easier. Let's say that it's a C or a D. Then just eliminate this down here. Are they faster paced or are they slower paced?
Mm-hmm.
Just based on your observations.
That's crazy.
That's going to give you what you think would be their primary style. So let's say you think the primary style is C. Go to the part 2 of the report you're going to get, and you can start reading through the C's. And what you want to do is basically check your work. Put yourself back in a school setting. Check your work. Read about the C's. How many of those bullet points, as you read about them, because the part 2 is all very general information, check your work. Yes, they do that. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's verbatim what they say, right? And so once you observe that, then there's going to be tools in there. I'll give you an example. In that part 2.
Oh, you bring it back up.
For example, here you go. So if they are the D, the direct dominant style, this is your cheat sheet. Here's how you can approach them.
Wow. Look at that.
Achieve a win-win faster. And remember, you got to take your ego out of it. So if you are a fellow D, you don't have to be a pushover, but you've got to recognize they are too. And if push comes to shove, how are you going to play that out? But rather, why not use some of these things on the right side of the screen so that you can not turn it into some kind of an ego or pride type of competition, because you're both very competitive if you happen to both be Ds. But how do you keep this at a win-win? So if you notice, in the red box, a D can be combative or create unnecessary conflict. Well, if you already know that, don't play into it. And certainly don't react that same way. Be clear, be specific, stay to the point, let them become that way, and relax yourself. Let them be who they need to be. Apply the platinum rule. The platinum rule is to treat others the way they want to be treated so that you can relate better and build those relationships. So this is an example of what you're going to get in that part 2 of the results. And so, for example, the C, right? This is for you, Kris, since I think you said your wife is a whole lot of C.
Oh, man.
Here's your cheat sheet.
I need to go back over this again. I need to remember, just anyway.
Yep. There's a lot of this, right? And not every report is the same. I've seen a number of people, they'll tell me, yeah, I already took my disc. That's great. Show me your report, because most of the time the report stops where mine kicks in that part 2. Most of the time you get the report about yourself and a little bit about each style, like with the information we've gone through here. it doesn't go into that part 2, which is how to relate to the other styles. And that, to me, once I understood how I was shooting myself in the foot,
Yeah.
I recognized the power of this, and then was able to remove my own self out of those relationships and look at them from a totally different perspective. And
Nice.
I'm sure you won't be surprised, my husband has a lot of C in him,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps me understand naturally where he is going to be coming from. Now, I'm human. I don't always apply it. Because sometimes it's tough when the emotions are involved. But
Yeah,
the thing, when you know that that's where they're at, you can acknowledge them differently. When you know your contractor is focused on the details and you want them to be focused on the details
I
because
do.
you're not, you can acknowledge them and thank them. Thank you so much for being focused on the details. I know it's not my strength. What do you need from me? How can I help you? Because I can bring this to the table.
Yeah.
Imagine that relationship rather than the frustration of just get this going. Come on. I just need to
Yeah.
get it done.
I could just go on and on about those type of guys that are around me. Just with my marketing people, like I need them to be geeks on the analytical side on the Facebook and reading all those numbers. I'm like, look, man, tweak it. Let me know when I need you to bring me up to speed on the high when we can have a big picture of this. It's just truly amazing when you can recognize different personalities, Kelly. Kelly Ikenberry. Listen, guys, get your questions in if you have any. I didn't see any questions come over, but go if you want to have your own disc profile test. The link is in the video description roundup right below, or just go to krisdisc.com. We put together that link for you, and it's going to take you 15 minutes. So you know who. My thing is know who you are. Know what personality you are. If you don't get anything out of this, if all you were to be able to do was find out who you are, you can communicate with yourself. I'm like, I need to be able to talk to myself. I'm like an I, like, why the hell aren't they get that helps me to figure out what myself, y'all. And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because that's so true. You, there's multiple sides of you, and you all have conversations. All your sides have conversations about different scenarios.
Different
Even just
scenario.
understanding that, it makes you feel like you're not so crazy. You just see things from so many different angles,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be of use if you know what's happening. Otherwise, you can start to think you've gone crazy a bit. Why can't I just stay focused on one thing? Well, it's
Yeah,
because you're not wired that way. When
let's
you
do.
understand it and appreciate it about yourself, you can relax more into it. You can become more and more confident in what you have to deliver, what you have to bring to the world. You can enjoy yourself better, and then you can enjoy other people better.
Yeah, you can, and you can build a better. My thing is, how about your team? I mean, I could just imagine if my business partner wanted to, not wanted to, but needed to be in front of the camera and needed to get I'm like, we wouldn't work. I mean, just like this dude never wants to be on camera. He's like, man, get it out of here. Get away from me with that.
Yes. Well, and speaking of teams, in a lot of cases, I work with solos, but then I also work within teams. And in your world, I've got a client who's a real estate agent here in Colorado, but then she's also an investor, and she has put together a team because she recognized, even though she's a strong D followed by strong C and then I, right? So she's very driven. She needed to have people around her. Even though
Yeah.
she knew she could do it on her own, she was never going to reach her goals to get where she wanted to go. So she built a team, and then we enhanced it when we started working together with this disc information. She used it initially, but then we were able to take it so much deeper when we started to apply even what I've shared with you today,
Yeah.
and even more. And the coolest thing, she's under the Remax umbrella, and she just got notification last week that she and her team, out of 123,000 Remax reps across the world, 63 countries, they hit the top 100.
Get out of here. Wow. That is
That
cool.
is the power of this. When you
Mm.
apply it not only to yourself, but also to your team, whoever it is that you work with, even if it's a part-time assistant. this information can be so valuable because it allows you to immediately stop finger pointing of, why can't you do this? Do it my way. What's wrong? Why is it so difficult for you? When you
Wow.
start to remove the finger pointing and you start to apply the appreciation of, I need them in my life. I need them to be focused on this, because to ask yourself to develop a weakness is one of the biggest wastes of time.
Yeah, man.
Bring that person into your life and gain that information from them rather than try to create or develop some kind of a weakness.
That's something.
Yeah,
Developing a weakness. Well, I never even heard it put like that. I think that's maturity too. As we business owners, we mature and matriculate, as Hampton University would say. I'm like, man, I know what my strengths are because I've taken it and I can develop that, as opposed to trying to go out there and be all things to all people, right?
that's right. That's right. Here, I have
You got
gathered.
one more thing? Yeah, one more. Round up. Go ahead and get signed up. Good, and go to the
All right,
video description to get your own disc profile analysis.
absolutely. So again, I hope that everyone listening has a good idea. If you don't, ask them questions. What your primary style would be, what your secondary would. And then here is some advice from clients of mine who fall into each of these primary styles. So if you found that your primary style is a D, here's their advice from other
Wow,
Ds.
that is cool.
Be patient. Give other people time to figure it out. Let others help. Bite your tongue and listen. From the high I's, focus, listen and be present. Ideas are not for everyone. Details do matter, especially if you are in some kind of negotiation or sales process with a C. Details definitely matter.
Hmm.
Advice from other S's, if that's where you found yourself high. Directness to an S typically means confrontation. What the advice is, and I think I forgot to put the little line in there, directness does not equal confrontation.
Gotcha.
It means communication. It means resolution. Share your opinion, even if you need a minute to, right? So if you are in a high S position and you are asked for feedback, do not worry about not having something right off the top of your head. Say to the other person, you know what, let me sleep on that. I'll get it to you first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
So ask for that time that you need so that you can process your thoughts, but then deliver your thoughts. Share your opinion, because you bring a lot of value to the table, especially if you find yourself in a relationship with a D or an I. They need to hear that.
Yeah.
Keep your emotions in check. This could sometimes be a challenge, depending on what those are, and then have an outlet, because the S's are the people who they're the ducks on the top of the water and their little feet are just paddling underneath. They look all calm and steady, and it's because they're just internalizing it, and then they blow. And I think everybody has seen that from a full-blown S, right? Somebody who has a really high S, they look like they're the calmest, coolest people, and then they just lose it. And you wonder, where did that come from? What on earth, right? That's what's happening. The C's, don't detail yourself to death. Understand that other people are competent and can do a good job. We can have so much fun with this. Give credit for what they bring to the table. C's can be highly critical. And so when you recognize that that's one of your traits, again, that might be the biggest challenge, is recognizing the credit that other people bring to the table. And then participate in small talk as much as you can. There's plenty of, tricks to the trade for conversation for those who aren't so conversational. You can always pair up with a high I and let them drive the entire conversation and bring you in, even if that's the strategy.
Pair up. I like the way you said that. Well, my thing is, Kelly, or any one of these, us eyes, we get on our soapbox, we stand up, beating our chest, because not everybody can speak. Or is anyone better or worse? I don't want people to think that just because they're certain trait there any worse or off, any worse off than the other?
No, absolutely not. No, because the world needs all four types.
Gotcha.
As you saw with the pictures of the celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
clearly all four types can rise to high levels of success, whether you're whether you're trying to become a celebrity or not.
Yeah.
There's all different types, and that's the thing. The more that you know about yourself and the more you own it, the more you embrace it, the more you use it to grow yourself, the more you're going to be going to allow the people around you to be comfortable in their shoes.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you don't even understand and appreciate what you bring to the table that there's that frustration with other people, right? So one style is not better than another. The biggest thing that I find that is not good is when the finger pointing starts happening,
Yeah.
when the expectation of one style to another, especially if their pace and priority are totally opposite,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes nothing but,
Yeah.
tension
Yeah.
rather than appreciation. That's when trouble happens. That's when the irritation reaches new heights.
I bet. I bet.
In business, usually it means you break up.
Yeah.
In life, you break up. So that's when I see bad things happen. But one style isn't any better than the other. It's when you
Good.
are operating fully from your style and you recognize who you need to have around you for different roles and can appreciate them in that role. Truly, it's like having a crystal ball and the sky is the limit.
So round up, go ahead and head down to the video description. We've got 60 people on here. Thank you for joining us. Kelly Ikenberry, disc analysis expert, business coach. I got a few questions here that came in, but know who you are. I keep thinking about this knowledge. I keep hearing this knowledge of self, knowledge of self. I know Farrakhan says, know yourself. One of the things we don't know, like knowledge of self. Who the hell are you? So this one thing for me is kind of personal. I mean, knowledge of self, know who you are so you can figure out how you mix in out here. Kelly, this has been wonderful. Tyler wants to know, do you offer training for small groups to help create cohesiveness?
Every day of the week, Tyler. I do. I'm actually, because of the time of the year, doing quite a few strategy sessions with small groups. I've worked in small group settings in small businesses. I've worked for large companies, departments. My preference are all of you listening on here right now, the small business owners or entrepreneurs who have small groups. And I do it across the country. And so it's absolutely, yes, we can talk.
Nice. Okay.
So something specific he's looking for.
I'm not sure. If there's a question, put your question, Tyler. But so Kelly has agreed. Once you take the test, she's going to come back on this Monday. What is that? 6, 7, 8, 9. November 9th, Eastern Standard Time, 7. So make sure you've already subscribed and hit the bell so you know when we're coming on. But you'll get an email once you take the disc test. You'll get an email from us letting you know when we're coming on, and I'm going to send you the link. So you're going to have the video chat room link. You're going to be able to come on, my Roundup family. Come on to see, so you can ask your questions and show her your graph, and she can give you some pointers on what will possibly help you in your business. Okay, this has been real fun, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. This has been fun. I could talk about this all day. So if there are questions, I can hang around for a bit longer. If there aren't, then I look forward to Monday. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I think people don't know what to ask. Usually I've got a million questions from people. I think they're like, well, what am I? Because they probably don't know. Like me. I was like, what is this disc create? What is this? I paid it no mind. Now I get to bring it. It's such an honor. I get to bring it to people, so that may not know, like I didn't know. I wasn't in the know.
Right. Well, and I was the same way. I didn't know until I got my report. And until I started to hear my coach debrief some of it for me, I was like, oh, well, now am I stuck with that? Or can that be?
That is
about that?
Too funny. I like the way you said, can I change? I didn't like it.
Can we just use some whiteout? Can we? Well, and that's the thing is that, there will be time Monday for a lot of questions. And, I typically find people who will look at their adaptive chart and their natural. And
Uh-huh.
that's a lot of the questions come is what's happening here? What does this mean? And then it converts to the application questions, right?
Nice.
So
Nice.
how can I apply this to my team? So if you have a small group that you're working with, how does this work? And we sit down, everybody takes the assessment. So if you're on here and you have a small team, have them take this. And I can bring tips on Monday, even what pages we would use, right? And eliminates the finger pointing within that small group. And it allows you to actually laugh and develop a language within your own office or your own setting. Some of my clients are walking around. They're like, "Whoa, she's totally in D mode today. Watch out."
Uh-oh.
They can make
Uh-oh.
They can make light of it. And when the person who is in D mode hears that, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess I am. Give me a
Got
minute.
me.
Let me go.
Got me. They're
Right?
cognizant though.
Yes, they're aware. Once you become aware, then we can work with it. Then we
I
can
love
go
it.
somewhere.
I think certain people like I just remember the people I can see it in my life. People that are number crunchers, we work so well together, So Roundup, get your test in. Go ahead and then the video description below. Get your own disc test. It's only the price of what a couple tanks of gas. If all you get is being able to know who you are, that will be worth the price of admission. And Kelly taking time out today and coming back for free on Monday to help us with this stuff.
Happy to do it. Happy to do
Yeah.
it.
All right. So Roundup. Is there any question? Oh, I don't know who this is. I don't read. I don't know if that's. Are there any questions here to help me identify members of my team? They might have to take it themselves, wouldn't they? Kelly, I don't know. You know.
Yes. So if you just go back to this, right? If you look at it, even those slides where it was the red, yellow, blue, green slides with the 7 bullet points,
Mm-hmm.
and you were identifying yourself. When you're trying to identify somebody else, then it's those 2 questions. Are they more task-oriented or people-oriented?
You can see that off the top, right? I mean, I'm thinking about my kids and everybody. I mean, I can see it like this.
Exactly. So ask that question. Are they task or people-oriented?
Nice.
And then are they faster paced or slower paced?
Nice.
Right? So ask yourself those 2 questions. What's their priority and what's their pace? And if you don't know it right off the bat, watch them, observe them, put your observer hat on. Don't get irritated by how they're going about life. Put your observer hat on and continue to ask yourself, task or people, slow or fast?
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Now, if you want, again, when you get your report, if you choose to take it, the entire back half of that report has, let me get to it. It has another 18 pages of how do I identify people on the team? How do I identify other styles? And you're going to be able to go through and be able to look at how does directness show up? How does fast pace show up?
Gotcha.
Start with those 2 questions. What's their pace? What's their priority?
Tala, what time will we be on Monday? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. 7 p.m. And once you'll get an email. If you get the profile test, you will get an email from us. So don't worry about that. We'll let you know exactly what time. 7 p.m. We'll send you a couple of reminders on Monday. Kelly, this has been fun. Roundup, get your test video description and links right there. Kelly set it all up for us. And if you can't remember to go down there, just go to krisdisc.com. Kelly, anything else you want to leave us? Final thoughts, and we'll get you out of here.
Final thoughts. Like Kris said, if nothing else, get that profile report for yourself. Understand yourself, because then really, the sky is the limit with getting back to those first few things. Are you in this, are you interested to make more money, to grow your business, grow your empire, whatever it is that you are growing?
Mm-hmm.
Is it about your relationships? Because this can be applied personally, professionally. So is it just building a stronger relationship? Is it sometimes just having a little bit more joy, not only for how you show up, but then enjoying how others show up? And that's what life is really about. Um, I'm in it to grow my business. But in the long run, that's what we're going to be sitting around when we're 99 saying, oh, I wish I would have put more time and effort into my business.
Yeah.
All about it smartly. This is one of the tools that can help you work it smarter so that you can spend more time doing the things and being with the people that you want to be with. It's why, my company name is Make More, Play More. That sums it up. So if you want to make more and play more, get this profile report for yourself. It's a great starting point. It's a great tool to have. And we can go over how to uncover it and use it more on Monday.
Nice. Okay, so Roundup, if you take the test, the link is in the video description for the disc profile test. Take that. You're going to get your profile. It's going to look just like you have the graph and all that. It show high, the low, different things. Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Kelly's going to come back and debrief on. We'll send you the link to the video chat. We'll bring you on. And if you're shy, you don't have to cut your camera on. You can just keep the camera off, but you can ask questions directly to Kelly, which I think is priceless there. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. Yep. All right, round it up. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we will be going live. Share with anybody else you think that could benefit from taking this disc test, like me. Like I'm so glad I was able to do it, so I can bring it to you, so I know who I am. I'm an I, and I work with Smitty. Y'all know he's a C. I think I'm looking at the thing there. He's got to be a C, as task oriented as he is. Know who you are, so you can hire the people that you probably, like Kelly said, you might be weak at. All right, Roundup. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.